Uncle Mark here. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe in the corner. Working on a 2014 Dodge Dart with rear wheel bearing making noise. Now the bearing is a sealed bearing. It does sit on a spindle though. We're going to replace it. Not too hard. Probably the biggest thing you might have trouble with is trying to get the rotor off. Pretty in-depth step-by-step here. Enjoy, and hopefully if you're doing it too, it goes as well as it did for me. Just listen to the low rumble. Yeah, you want to use some jack stands. So I took the wheel off, and the socket here, I think it's really metric, but I don't know the size. 3/16, and it's a little loose in the screw there. But I was able to get it off. I didn't want to strip it, so I thought I'm gonna knock it a couple times, snap some of the rust out of it. It did come out, but expect to have problems if you do this. If you can't get that off, there's no sense in trying to get anything else off. These side caliper slide pins are 14 millimeter. They're a little tight. Instead of wrecking my hands, I figure I'll just tap them off. Pull these bolts out. That should get our caliper off. I say should. It should be on here fairly firmly still, but it's like it doesn't seem to want to move. So I thought, well, let's get this out of the way first. This is your brake hose that goes to the caliper. I thought, once we move the caliper, this is gonna be a problem. So I thought if I take it away from the mount that it's holding into, freed up from the mounting bracket, it won't be stress on it later. So I was a bit confused. Why is this so tight? And it's like, oh, you know why? Because I had put the parking brake on so that when I was taking off the wheel nuts, the wheel wouldn't spin because they're pretty tight. Anyway, finally this came off the way it's supposed to. And I tried hanging it up somewhere out of the way so there's no stress on the brake hose, the one that I kind of freed up from the mounting. Get the pads out of here. They got this special little, it's like a spring clip holding the two of them together. It comes off and can go back on, but it seems a little bit tight in there. They'll come out gently. Don't want to break them. Now, if we can get this caliper, well, listen to this. Buddy had to let me a 5/16 hex key bit, which worked. I think again, this is 9 millimeter. There we go. Now off with this caliper mounting bracket. And I noticed the sliders here for the caliper pins, this thing seems seized. I don't recommend this. I am tapping from the edge, not from the face. A nice rubber mallet would probably be a little better. Be safer for sure. Here I'm just going to hit it not on the braking surface, but it's like, yeah, that's not going to come off. So I thought I'll use a block of wood. Get this is real time. Watch this. One whack with a wooden block and a big hammer, it came off right away. I don't know why. This looks better. There's actually a dust cover on the front of this thing. I mean, you're looking at it, it's so rusted, but there's a cap here. There has to be, because where's the nut, right? So I'm just gonna gently kind of try and split it apart a little bit. Could use a screwdriver. I'm using a chisel, but I just want to move it a little bit. I'll do a close-up here right away. It's starting to come apart. It's pretty soft. So then I figured, well, I wish I had a bigger set of pliers or something. Channel pliers would probably work, but vice grips just barely got it on here. And I'm just going to try and wiggle it. Grab it and wiggle it a little bit. And this worked. There you go, look at that. There you go. Save that somewhere. Oh, something just fell out of there. You see that? Big glob of grease or something. Now, it's a 32mm socket. I'll try and put that in the description if I can. You can get it from where I got it. And it's coming off tight all the way pretty much. Oh well. At least you know it's not going to fall off. So set that aside. And I would have thought this would just come off because it's just sitting on there. And I probably shouldn't have been tapping it the way I was tapping it here. I probably should have tapped on the other side too. Because really I'm only hitting on one spot, right? So I thought, well, it's not coming off. I just happen to have a puller. I'm just going to need a little tug. This is plan B. Now this is in real time too. Watch this. I just put it on and I just give it a couple little cranks and boom.
Really?
It's like it's off. That was easy. Didn't put much tension on it. That easy it came off the spindle. I should have mentioned too, I did not take the ABS sensor off of there. It's just a little bit on the top there. It's really hard to see from here, but I don't think you're going to hurt it. You may want to take it off. You'll see it there when you get just before you take this off. It's on top. It's very close to this new bearing and hub assembly. You can see it's about the 1 o'clock position where the hub is there. And it's like, you know, 1/8 of an inch away. I'll put this back on both hands. I just figured I'll just tighten it like this, see how tight it is. Snugged it up, and then you're going to want to torque wrench it. Use a torque wrench for sure. It has to be the specific torque setting, and I believe, according to what I could find, and it wasn't included with the new part, it is 129 foot-pounds. So if you make it too tight or too loose, it's going to be hard on the bearing and it won't last. Dust cap back on. Because it's not really a sealed bearing. You can see the bearings in there, so you want this cap back on. Hopefully you didn't destroy taking it off. I did kind of mangle it a little bit taking it off because it's just light metal. So you'll see here in this one spot, see that bent part there, and I tried bending it back down. I guess I could have taken it off and yeah, it'll be fine. Then I figured I'm going to put some nickel anti-seize on there just so that next time everything comes off easy. But not in the lug nut holes. Because you don't want those falling off. Now this, you want that little rotor screw back in. I'm just going to put a very little bit of anti-seize on it. Put it back in there. Should be torqued down. I believe the torque spec was 216 inch-pounds. I just made it tight. Now these caliper pins, they're seized. They don't really want to turn. They should push in and out real easy. Hopefully they're not rusted. So if yours aren't rusted, you can skip to about the 1130 spot on this video. There are chapters below that are listed. So when I got that one apart, looks okay. And then this one, I have to use some vice grips to pull it out. If they're rusted, you're going to want to clean all the rust up. There are little rubber pieces on these caliper pins too, so you don't want to wreck those rubber slides or whatever they are. But I got it off, and then I'm just going to wipe them up a little bit, clean them up. I think they're just dry. They can seize up though. So I've got a little bit of brake lube. It's made specifically for this kind of thing. See if I can put that in the description too, if we can find it cheap somewhere. It's just the brake lube. It's to help with squealing and other kind of stuff, but it mentions here sliding caliper pins. You can put it on those. So yeah, put a little bit on there. Should be like new. Just gonna put some on the sides. Put a little bit on the end there. Again, if yours are rusty, you're going to want to try and clean them as well as you can, and maybe in the bore or the hole there too. Might have to blow it out with something. These seem really clean. I just don't know why they're so dry. But the car is 14 and this is 21, so it's, you know, whatever, 8 years old or something. I forget, it's got a few miles in it already. 130,000 kilometers. 100 is about 62, so whatever that works out to. See how they move now? That's how they should work. They'll decide to, we'll just speed through this, you know how this works. Put them all together. Put the little dust cap back on, make sure it snaps on the end there. You may want to reverse and see how I did it on the first one, and then put this caliper bracket back on, and it goes on the inside between the rotor and the mounting. You can't put it on the other way, so it only goes on basically one way. Tighten these guys back up. There's a torque spec for these two. As far as I could tell, it looks like they're supposed to be 130 foot-pounds. So get your torque wrench out and torque them. Then these, you should be able to see the fingers right there. So that'll be on the outside, and this side would have the piston against it. It's kind of hard to see, but if you can put that back in the right way. So I was thinking I could have used a little bit of that brake lube where the caliper contacts the pads, where the fingers touch and where the actual caliper piston touches them, because sometimes they'll just kind of shake a little bit and make some kind of noises, but this was quiet, so if she has problems, she can bring it back. There, she's a friend, so put those back in, and usually these aren't too bad to get in there. Like, I didn't change the pads, so I didn't have to move the piston or nothing. But these mounting bolts, well, try and get them to line up. Easier said than done. It's just 2 holes. I wiggled and jiggled and moved them this way and moved them that way and tapped it slightly this way. And if you can get one in, then it's probably easier to get the other one in after. More tapping, more jiggling. I guess you could always try and take the bolt out and put something in there that's smaller and jiggle it around. Finally, I know you don't have all day, so they started going in. Got my wrench out. What do we say this was, 14 millimeter? Tighten them up. And then, of course, the top one, actually, when I was trying to tighten it, it wanted to spin. So I grabbed it with some vice grips on the other side. You'll see there's a little piece of metal that you can grab onto. And I tightened it. And then, of course, the torque spec for these, 32 foot-pounds supposedly. And it'll be done. Now I want to make sure I put the brake hose back in there. A little bit WD-40 would have helped on the mounting bracket or on that rubber piece that goes in there. It would have slipped in a lot easier. It was a little bit of monkeying around, but anyway, I finally got it on there. Then I was move all the tools, get the tire, stick that back on. Oh, it helps if you put the emergency brake on now. Then you can move the tire back and forth, because normally you've got studs sticking out and you can just stick the rim on there, but these are actually bolts that go in, so you have to line it up. It's kind of a pain. I'm guessing the torque spec's 100 foot-pounds on these, and you want to retorque them again. Give it a spin. We'll take the brake off, give it a spin, see, make sure it's not making any weird noises. Take it for a drive. That's it. So that's going to do it for our little video. Hopefully this helped you out. Double check any kind of torque specs and that, just in case I made a mistake on them. You can subscribe in the corner if you like the video. Why not give me the thumbs up? That always helps too. Tell your friends. We'll also put a playlist up here. I'm going to start a Dodge Darts playlist because these friends of ours, their granddaughter has this car. Might do a few more things to it. Until next time, you guys take care. Check out the channel too if you haven't before. Lots of different things there, including an RV playlist for fifth wheel trailers and an old car playlist if you like old cars and trucks. I better get going. Thanks for sharing this time with me.
Remember to be safe. Your safety is your responsibility and should be priority number one. Also, give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Plus, please subscribe and you'll get all the notifications. It's easy. The little dog will show you how. Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
No. Five sixteenths.
Really? $129 foot-pounds.
Come on.
Testing 1, 2, 3. I haven't cleaned up yet.